All right, well, we're nice and warmed up now anyway. So, welcome back to episode 3 of the If You Know, You Know podcast discussing Survivor Southampton season DOS. My name is Mike Price. I'm your host for this journey. And joining me, the man who, like me, can't figure out when things are and aren't recording. It is Survivor Southampton's Lenny Greenfield.
Yep. Hello. I'm not in a good mood anymore. We've just recorded for like 40 minutes, and we didn't record because I didn't click the button. I'm heartbroken. You're probably some of the
Yeah.
best podcasting action you would have heard in years.
Yeah, I'd say we really hit the peak of the If You Know You Know podcast there,
Yeah.
which I'm sure we'll desperately try and replicate for you here. But
Yeah, there's only so much you
yeah,
can do. I mean, wow.
I do feel like a part of us, definitely died when we found out that it hadn't recorded. Almost as bad as when we tried to record our previous episode with our Survivor simulation. Keep your eyes out for that one in the future. And that one also hadn't recorded. More on that some other time. But for now, Lenny, we're going to do our best to rehash exactly what happened in that challenge. Wow, there are a lot of feelings that came up. So maybe now we've got past some of those. We've got past the initial anger. Maybe we can talk about it.
Bit more.
With
Yeah.
clearer heads.
Yeah. I think I've got a lot of the anger out at you. Um, and there was a lot of it. It wasn't pretty, but I think, I can come in from a more neutral perspective this time around.
Yeah,
Um,
I personally wasn't expecting you to start crying. That was it was a shock to me. I'm quite glad that
yeah,
will not see the light of day.
just quite emotional.
Yeah.
And for good reason. It was quite an emotional challenge.
And it's an emotional game, as we saw with what happened with Slaw. Obviously, it's
Yeah.
terrible stuff there. But yeah, Lenny, first of all, I'll reissue my congratulations to you surviving 3 tribal councils, having only voted twice. So congratulations to you there.
I, I,
Um,
I'm a great player, and I think I'm one to watch out for the rest of the game. The way I'm cruising by. No one wants me out. Everyone wants me in that team.
all right, well, we'll definitely keep our eye on you as we go through. And as I said last time, I'm going to refute how comfortable you claim you were, and I might intersplice a couple more of your a little bit more of your confessional throughout this
Was
podcast.
was I worried?
Yeah, we'll get to that a little bit in the strategy section, but it wasn't all you just complaining about the challenge. And I will say it was mostly that. It was you complaining about the challenge, and then it was that there was a little bit more, which I didn't include in the episode, mainly because there were other people with better confessionals, but also because I thought it was funnier just to have it only be you complaining. All right, but let's get straight into it. Once again, Lenny. So first of all, we begin with Merak's celebration. Okay, they're coming down the stairs. See, this is great. Well, I can use all of your takes as my own now. So yeah, and I think Ben Roberts came up with was that from Dodgeball?
Oh yeah, it was from Dodgeball. Have you ever seen that movie?
I had no idea that this was supposedly a reference to the film Dodgeball, and we were also before trying to attribute who to give credit to for this. Ha kind of thing. We were thinking Ben Roberts just because he was at the front of the pack, Lenny.
Yeah, I think that's a fairly safe bet, but I'm going to change my mind now. I'm going to say it was a shout from Noel Clark out of the blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that seems like a man that would have seen the movie Dodgeball. Um, Quite a funny man as well.
You got to put the credit on the person leading the group. So Ben,
Yeah,
I'm giving you the credit. Lenny's
fair
trying to
enough.
take it away from you, but I know that you got this.
So one other thing I will say
Uh,
about Noel is when I was watching back earlier and he was out on the sidelines, not in the challenge, and he could just not give a shit what was going on. He just sat there on his phone, not even observing the challenge.
At one point, I cut out a lot of this because there wasn't that much stuff happening at the table when Noel was telling me about this. He was telling me about his previous confessional that he just filmed upstairs, and I didn't include this in the show because I didn't watch it all the way to the end because I was just like, oh, he's finished talking now. But at the end, so like the whole confessional, he's just trash talking the red team, and at the end, he's just like, yeah, well, we won again. Up the Reds. No, fuck, up the Blues.
But yeah, all round good team performance. Everyone's doing well. We've still got 9. Suck on that Blues. Reds, fuck.
But yeah, all right. Well, good stuff from Noel, a man who we didn't actually discuss at all when we last recorded this exact episode, and a man who we won't really discuss because as we get to Lenny, Noel and Holly sideline this challenge, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think never a bad idea to sideline yourself.
Good decision from the team, especially given that we know Max Beline has a famously awful memory.
Yeah, I mean, I would be making sure Max was not put into that challenge. If I was on the red team, if I was on the blue team, sorry, easy to do, confuse the teams. Yeah, I'd be
I don't really understand how that went on because, like, from the off, Ben Roberts is just like, guys, I'm terrible with shapes, and Max doesn't speak up but has an awful memory. How did Noel and Holly snake their way out of this?
I mean, Holly gave a reason at least. No, clearly just couldn't be bothered. Just wanted a bit
Noel
of a
just
rest.
fancied to sit down. He was just like, I don't really fancy like
That 20-minute rest upstairs wasn't enough for him, so he needed a bit more time.
Yeah. I think Noel and Holly, from winning the last challenge to then this, they probably, well, look, then they win again. They probably have about an hour off the game.
That's one thing I will say about being on the Ruba tribe. You were in the game. You were playing.
Yeah. No one can accuse you of not playing the game. Although maybe this round we'll get to that. Okay, so first of all, Lenny, you've had enough time to think about this now. Would you? Are there any tactics that you would suggest for this particular challenge? Like, obviously, it's a little bit ambiguous when I first explain what the challenge is, blah blah blah. But once you sort of pick it up, is it a case of like trying to lay out all the shapes, make sure they're all in the right area on the table, make it as easy as possible, or do you try and like remember as many of them as possible for when it's your turn? What's the best way to go about this, Lenny?
So I think there's a couple of things, probably two things that are really important to doing it quickly and doing it well. One is, I think, once you see the shapes, you see that there's a lot of similar ones, I think sorting them into piles where you have the similar shapes in the same pile and just splitting them all up is probably the best way to start. When you're not, for example, when Will and Strath were running, I think the rest of the team doing that is the best way to start, and it makes it easier for the rest of the challenge. I think Merak were a lot better at doing that than us, from what I remember. And then the other one, I think Max touched on it a lot in his confessionals, was that you just take the time to make sure you're getting each one right. You don't rush it, because when you get to the end of a line, you get it wrong. You don't know which one's wrong, so you end up having to go back and check all of them, which wastes a hell of a lot of time. Which, yeah, I think happened to quite a few of us. Definitely happened to, well, I mean, the Blue Tribe was so far ahead, and it happened to Ben on the final one, and we were essentially able to catch up and take the lead. And, would have won in other circumstances.
The players upstairs obviously could see like the 25 different individual diagrams with the shapes on. However, the players downstairs had 40 different ones out there. And I had rather nastily grouped them into 10 different groups of 4, where all of the shapes within those diagrams were basically the same, just in different orientations or different locations within the overall diagram. So, for example, if one of the diagrams had like a red arrow, a green lightning, and a yellow star, then there'll be 3 others with that exact configuration. Just as I say, different rotation, different orientation. So that's why the descriptions had to be so specific. So when Slaw bowls downstairs and he's speaking to Will, and he's just like, okay, I've looked at the diagram. There's a green sort of egg timer upside down, and it's obvious because it's the only one with it. That's what Slaw thinks. It just so happens that there's actually 3 others exactly like that. It's just only that one has the green egg timer in that location, or it's the only one with a star in the top bottom right corner or whatever. So it's not obvious to them exactly what everyone else can see, which is why why the challenge is so entertaining for the viewer, Lenny.
Yeah. I will say I do think it is a good challenge, despite what happened. Obviously, I think it could be better designed, but I think the actual challenge itself was a very good one. It was tight and it had a good amount of strategy to it. So yeah, good challenge on the whole. Just could be 1 or 2 things that may have ruined it.
Very fun challenge. It did take a while in real time. The whole thing was probably like 25-30 minutes. I think it was definitely one of the longer challenges we had in the whole season. The main issue I had with it was the whole editing journey, which I'll quickly just go through, because this one took So fucking long. First of all, there are about 4 different locations that the challenge is taking place. So there's obviously outside where everyone's doing the whole grid with all of the 40 different diagrams, everyone's sorting out all the puzzle pieces, whatever. Then you've got inside where in the living room where the communication is going down, like everyone's speaking to each other, the whole Chinese whispers thing. Then you have like the upstairs where you've got Isaac, Slaw, Oscar, and Billy looking at the codes. Then you also have the stairs itself as people are running up and down. And you had Faris and Archie who are filming up there, who kind of would wander up and down at their own whim. The whole thing in general, I would say, was incredibly difficult to splice together. I had a whole Excel file just for this particular challenge where I was trying to figure out exactly what had happened at each point and try and fit the whole thing together. You've got Veronica, who gives me about 10 different clips throughout the challenge of things that she's filmed. I think Faris gave me about 15 different ones, just people running up and down stairs. Then you had, thankfully, mercifully, Erin had given me one whole spiel. This was just in one file of everything that happened outside, which I could then use to kind of base everything off. But I've got a whole like storyboard of everything that happened in that challenge. Like I can tell you exactly how many like runs each person made to get their stuff done. Oh yeah, we'll definitely go into that because I've rated everyone.
That's a great stat to have. You've got to reveal that. Where was I ranking? Can you remember? Was I near the bottom? I feel like I was quite bad.
Fuck it, let's go through them now. I mean, the best way is to compare people to the people that they ran against. So Strath and Will ran at the same time. I gave Will about a 7 out of 10. I thought like he wasn't that great. So like if Will's getting a 7, that's still pretty good. Strath got a 6. Then you've got Sock versus you, Lenny. I gave you about a 7 as well. Like you still messed up a couple. Sock got a 9. Like he managed to like fully catch up. Then you got Zhao and Divya. Zhao, 10 out of 10. No mistakes.
Yeah,
absolutely smashed it. MVP of the challenge. And I can't believe we did a whole podcast about this last time. And we basically got all the way through to the end of the challenge. I don't think we mentioned Zhao once. Zhao, you absolutely fucking smashed it, mate.
Yeah.
Like, did an absolutely incredible job.
MVP.
I gave Divya an 8 out of 10 because we have no footage of that because Liam didn't send me any. So I've got no idea how Divya did, but she didn't lose that much ground to Zhao. So she's about an 8. Max was fine. He got about a 7 out of 10. But obviously, as you get into the end, there's fewer and fewer shapes anyway.
Yeah.
I think Max was one of the few people that actually sat down and tried to memorize the shapes that were still there. So, I'll give him some credit there. Lucy was pretty bad. She got to the end of the row and didn't know which one was wrong. So she gets a 5 out of 10. Ben, terrible, 5 out of 10. Big Dog gets about an 8. However, I think Ben, who, for the record, 100%, by the sound of things, would have been voted off had Merritt gone to tribal council here. But I think there's a lot of blame to go to Billy here as well, because Billy was definitely trying his best to give Max and Ben so much information in one go. Max did a good thing by saying, do you know what, Billy, I can't remember more than one thing. Just tell me one thing. But then Billy then tried to give Ben a lot at the same time. So Billy gets a 5 out of 10. Oscar, again, incredible in so many of the challenges, continues that run here. He gets a 9 out of 10 from me. And then I thought Slaw and Isaac were fine. Slaw gets an 8. Isaac gets a 7.
I remember thinking at the time that Slaw had done a good job in telling me and describing them. He was good.
Yeah, I think, Zhao and Oscar particularly standout performances. I've got a load of footage that Liam recorded that was just lost. The whole thing was, I think it was about like 35 odd minutes, and he just never sent it to me.
You almost lost the Erin footage as well, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. We almost had nothing at all for this challenge. It would have basically just been like the footage of people running inside and speaking to each other, and that would have been it. And then you would have been able to hear cheers in the background of what happened outside. Yeah, the Erin footage, I think, ended up on a memory stick that got misplaced, and it was a whole thing. But thankfully, she'd recorded it on your phone, didn't she? So you had access to the whole thing.
It was on my computer. I just left it on there. Didn't delete it. Come on. I was very happy when I found that.
Oh god, yeah, because we would have had nothing at all, and then like everyone would have been going on about how controversial the challenge was, and nobody would have seen it back, and then that would have added to the controversy. Yeah, also a lot of issues with the edit. Like it's hard to sort of convey exactly what's happening, who's winning, whether people are getting the shapes right or not, whether people are... So I was having to sort of experiment with different graphics on the screen. I think that the sweet spot really was what I did with you and Sock, where I had Slaw describing it, had the diagram appear, and then I had what you then interpreted it as.
That was really
I think
good.
that was the best one.
Do you know what else was good? I thought the use of confessionals were really good at sort of
Yeah,
describing
yeah.
what was going on.
A great hot take, Lenny. Thank you. Anyone in particular you want to shout out?
I thought, Max, Ben, who was the other one you said earlier? Um, Oscar, maybe. I don't know. The blue
Yeah, yeah.
team especially did a good job. I think the red team probably found it hard to narrate what happened in the challenge because our mind would have been focused on one particular incident that we'll talk about later. But yeah, I think they did a very good job of describing what was going on at the time. Very helpful for watching it back.
Yeah, I think a lot of that was kind of born out of necessity. Like it was just it's really unclear as to exactly what's happening, especially in like puzzle challenges, unless the person's like really zooming in. And then if they're zooming in, then it then makes it difficult for the players to do it. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of doing it over the screen was the best way to do it. But then there was a lot of like freeze framing it on certain points and then like
yeah,
print screening it and then dragging it over and then matching it up to the shapes that I had to try and figure out exactly where people had gone wrong. Like it was a whole
yeah.
thing.
I will
But yeah,
say on mine where I couldn't quite remember how well I'd done, and I got the first three right, and I was like, "Fucking hell, I was amazing! I was so good at this challenge." And then the last two just completely wrong. And I was brought back down to earth. I was really feeling like good about myself after those first three.
yes, like yeah, definitely the last one, not even close. But yeah, I will say, yeah, shout outs in particular as Lenny mentioned, Max, Ben, Oscar, incredible confessionals throughout this. You definitely carried the whole challenge. It would have been very difficult to tell the story of exactly what happened without you. And yeah, I think it just kind of highlights some of the. If you're going to give a confessional about a challenge, um, I know we discussed this in our previous episode, but a few things that I don't think I got round to talking about. If you can recall specific things that happened and then narrate over them. So, for example, yeah, so Oscar was giving me some clues. He legged it down the stairs. He was just like, okay, yellow star in the top, orange decagon in the bottom right, and then a red arrow pointing to the right. So I was just like, okay, yellow star, yellow star, yellow star. I legged it outside, looked around for the piece, found it, absolutely nailed it. 3 for 3. And then that's the exact kind of thing that I can just cut in. The other thing that I would say as a tip, if you make the challenge seem close, or if you don't always narrate with hindsight. So if someone comes in and is just like, oh yeah, we absolutely dominated. I always knew that I was going to win. Zhao absolutely smashed it. I absolutely smashed it, did my bit. That kind of thing I can't really put into the middle of the challenge because
Yeah,
then it gives away what happens. So it's best if you narrate it sort of as if it's being played back at the time. That's like exactly what I'm looking for. So the kind of thing like the way that Max did it was great. All of Ben's challenge confessionals are really good. Oscar had some really good ones. A lot of the stuff I'm kind of having to like cut around because people are just like, oh yeah, we won that challenge easily. This particular thing was good. And then I'm having to like cut around it very delicately to not completely give away who won. Billy and Stock also gave me some good stuff there as well. But the other main difficulty, of course, is because we always knew we're headed to that controversial ending. So that it was trying to edit that as faithfully as possible and then to kind of do it in a way that would like demonstrate this kind of fallout that happened as a result of that. Yeah, a couple of shout outs. Liam's useless questions always entertain me whenever I watch it back. So you've got Slaw and Oscar legging it up and down the stairs like that. That's a long journey as well, and they're having to like keep so much stuff in their heads. They've got to like remember essentially 5 different shapes, 5 different diagrams in one go, 4 shapes on each diagram. They have to remember the position, blah blah blah, and then someone keeps running in, just like, oh, I don't know where I'm wrong, and then they're just like, okay, well then if we lose, we have to go to tribal council, maybe to vote someone out. Like, what am I going to do? And then you got Liam going, do you think that was a good description that you just gave? Just like, no, Liam, leave me alone. So I was enjoying all of those. So Lenny, okay, so we've got Will and Strath. They go in, they do the bit. Will's got a slight lead for Ruba. Okay, it's now your turn. Talk us through your challenge, really.
quickly realised that couldn't no, there's no chance doing more than one square at once. So basically, go in, focus, try and get the information to get the one square down. I think I'd only do it in one trip. I wouldn't come back for multiple trips. It's not that'd be taking the piss. But yeah, just try and get as much info and get that thing right. and then go back and get the next one, which worked until it didn't. It all fell apart. Not my best showing, really, on those last two. I don't quite know what went wrong. I think maybe I just didn't see the correct one. C. Didn't see the C on that tile because I've just picked one where the C is just not the right orientation. He wouldn't have said a C if it was that one, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly an arch. Also, Oscar trying to describe what was very clearly like all of these are just auto shapes from PowerPoint. Oscar trying to describe a bolt of lightning upside down as like, oh yeah, it's like it's a long triangle, but like you push a third of it over slightly to the right, and then you go up again, and then you push another third of it slightly over to the right. I really enjoyed that. Also, Sock referring to basically a large yellow plus. Oscar referred to it as a Chevrolet logo. And then later on, Sock started calling it a chevron and started trying to tell everyone else on his team that's what a chevron was. I got a lot of joy out of that. So you get your 5 puzzle pieces, okay? You get your 5 diagrams done. I tell you you're wrong. At that point, you just like, oh, okay, well, I was less sure on the 4th and 5th ones. I'll go from there. Or was it just like you went back in, you were just like, just maybe tell me the lot. Was it complete guesswork or did you kind of know?
A bit of guesswork. I think the one with the C, I think I'd struggled to work out which one that was at the time. So you go back to that one first. I think, yeah, you go back to the ones you weren't certain on the time first, because some of them you're like, the description's good, you see it, you know it's right. But then if you carry on being wrong, you end up just having to check all of them, which is a nightmare. And I mean, that's what happened to a couple of people in the challenge.
All right, and let me get your take on a couple of these questions here. And I suspect I know what you're going to say for both of them. But at one point, okay, so you're in the living room, Stock comes in, you're still slightly further ahead of them at that point. Oscar's just like, okay, there's a green like bit of slime in the top right corner, and Stock's just like, wait, so in the top right, and you're like, no, bottom right. Do you think is that a clever strategy to mess up Sock, or is there a chance that it might then confuse you?
I think it's just the chance it messes up Sock. It wouldn't mess with my head because I think by the time Saul gets back downstairs, I think my mind will be clear anyway. But yeah, it's just me trying to be a prick, trying to get in Sock's head a bit, maybe jumble a bit things around. I know that would definitely work on me if I was trying to listen to Slaw and someone was saying random things in the background. That would definitely ruin my focus.
I think if you're working on the same shape and then I was trying to like mess someone up, if someone's just like, oh, there's the thing on the bottom left, and then the other person's just like bottom left, and I'd be like, no, top left. When I get back, I'd be like, wait, was it top left or bottom left? I definitely myself.
Yeah, I think okay. I'm not even sure I was aware that they were the same for both teams at that point.
Also, what is your take on?
Sorry, I'm surprised there was no further action on a slap from Oscar in that challenge on an opposing tribe mate.
I wasn't there. It didn't get reported back to me. If Veronica or Liam had come back and been like, Oscar actually slapped Lenny, then I definitely have to have a word.
I should have gone down on the floor screaming with a slap like that. Getting booked.
I'm not sure what I'd have to. Yeah, well, hopefully it'll never come to that. Okay, next question. Okay, Ben openly copying Ruba. Smart or not smart? First of all, from a strategic sense, is it smart because, like, yeah, sure, okay, now you understand, like, now you're able to catch up. But then now Ruba have understood the concept of copying. Now they're just going to do it if you get ahead.
Yeah, I think no in basically all aspects of this question. I think I think you can do it if the other team completed a line and it's been checked and it's right, and you can get away with it. Do it. Don't announce it to both teams. I think that's definitely a mistake. Way to make the other team, the other tribe, not like you as well. Really get that thought up in their brain that this guy actively cheating against us. And I think when their line's unchecked, I think it can just mess you up more if you copy them wrong. I mean, I think that's what we did at one point. I think Sock alluded to that.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's probably more of a hindrance than a help, and it's better to just focus on getting your ones right than focusing on the other team.
Yeah, I mean, you saw how irritated Will was just off the bat by Ben doing it with the aggressive clapping in his face. In a game that is like so social, is it a positive or a negative to do that? Because like later on, because like you've pissed off the other tribe, like they're going to be angry at you, but like maybe they'll forget about it later. But in the moment, surely as a positive, everyone on your tribe is thinking, well, hang on, if we keep Ben in the game, all the other tribe hate him. So surely this is only going to be good for us. So like maybe it might help you in the short term.
Yeah, but do you want that short term help for long term loss in a game like this?
That's true. Like, yeah, I mean, it might benefit you in the short term, but then in the long term, maybe everyone else will forget about it anyway.
That's
So
true. That's true. I will say, I mean, Ben managing to irritate someone like Will, who's, I mean, it takes a lot to annoy a man like that. Yeah, famously very calm.
yeah, okay. So at this point, we now get to the point where Liam's footage has run out. So we're really cutting ahead. Shout out to Zal for absolutely nailing his. Divya not too far behind, but Meraka really taking a lead at this point. I will also say one thing I forgot to mention earlier, but it's not blatantly apparent from the edit, but if you're keeping a keen eye on it, and some of our eagle-eyed viewers, I'm sure, will have noticed, Zal clearly looking for immunity idols during this challenge. At one point, he completely empties the plant pot, which I'm then like, Zal, what the hell are you doing? So I kind of blew up his spot there. So sorry, Zal. At the time, I was just like, what the fuck is he doing? Didn't occur to me to be looking for idols. But fair play. A couple more notes. I've got Billy falling over on the stairs. I personally found funny.
Just funny. Just very funny.
Also, my classic fake out to Merak.
Oh, beautiful.
Merak, wrong. Didn't work out as well as it did for Jeff in the Survivor Worlds Apart because unfortunately Merak were cheering so aggressively loudly that they didn't hear me say wrong. So I then had to go back and be like, by the way, guys, you're still wrong. Also, all of my crew inside, all of the rest of Team Kayhem had then stopped filming.
Yeah.
And like people like Isaac had then stopped trying to come down outside. And we had to be like, no, actually, guys, challenge is still on. So,
but I enjoy doing my little cheering celebration right in there, little circle at the after they told me wrong. So just even got a lot of joy from that watching it back. I was like, yeah, we'll do it again.
They deserved it.
100%
yeah,
deserved it.
I found it very satisfying. We've skirted around it a little bit, Lenny, but we finally get to the end of the challenge, and I am not sure if you noticed based on the edit, but there was a little bit of controversy about this particular one. So can you please take us through your perspective of exactly what happened? So Big Dog, he can't get that last piece. Pick us up from there.
So yeah, we can't, like, we're so certain that we must be right because there's no other option. And we've got everything else right. There's one piece left, the final piece. We've tried everything with those shapes, and then the other team gets it, and then we very quickly find out, I think maybe you say just after, that they had two of the same piece and we just didn't have it. And I mean, we've lost because of that. Essentially, we would have won had we had the piece, which is a big shame. Yeah, I mean, Ben completely fumbled it for his team. They're way out in front, and we'd caught up. Heroic comeback. What a story it would have been. The team that lost twice redeemed themselves in a huge comeback, led by the biggest dog you've ever seen. But yeah, wasn't to be. You fucked us over, and I tried my best for the next 20 minutes to make that as clear as possible to anyone who would listen.
And then when people stop listening, then individually to your phone.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, okay, I am unaware that something off has happened. Okay, by this point, it's only at the point where like you guys, Ruby, keep getting it wrong, but also Merak keep getting it wrong with the same puzzle piece. So I'm just like, okay, clearly this final puzzle piece is hard. It's only when Big Dog misses it for like the fourth time in a row, I'm just like, how are they miss? I look over and I'm looking at your table, and you can catch this in the edit towards the end. I'm looking over, and it's only then that I clock that your puzzle piece isn't there. I'm then looking at the rest of the table. I then spot it on Merak's side. They've got two of the exact same one next to each other because that was how they organized them. At this point, I'm just like, okay, I'm assuming that they haven't noticed this. I then go over, grab one of the pieces, move it to your side of the table, and it's as I'm walking over that they realize that that's the puzzle piece that they're missing. So they then put it in, and get it correct just as I move the puzzle piece over.
Yeah.
At which point, like, you guys notice anyway. They then call it. I have to give them the win because they got it. Fair enough. I did feel bad for you, but from my perspective at the time, I was just like, it's unlucky. I watch a lot of things like the TV show The Challenge. A lot of those challenges in there are like just insanely unfair in general. They're like rigged to be unfair.
Yeah.
So the way I looked at it, I was just like, well, there's 5 of you always working on this puzzle. Like, there's a strong likelihood one of you just like the wind blew it away and one of you didn't pick it up. So I wasn't massively sympathetic. And also there was another reason why, which we'll get to in a little bit of time in the strategy section. In hindsight, looking back on it, I did my best to study the footage to find out exactly what had happened. And I know many thousands of our viewers will have been doing the exact same thing. From what I could understand from like all of the freeze frames that I did, when you specifically poured out all of Ruba's puzzle pieces onto the table, I counted them all. There were 39. Okay. So there was always one missing. And it was that one at the end. Also, first of all, how unfortunate that the one piece that happened to be missing was the very final piece of the puzzle. So that is, incredible. If anything, that's a sign. I think maybe you just weren't meant to win that challenge, Lenny.
Yeah, maybe not.
So that piece was never on the table. It was also never on Merak's side of the table. When they poured theirs out, they had 40. It's only about halfway through the challenge, after you come back and the wind blows a load of them away, that Big Dog goes to pick some up. Ben Roberts goes to pick some up. It's at that point that it then suddenly comes into play, okay? And it's then on Merak's side of the table throughout the rest of the challenge. Obviously, this isn't, like, I'd imagine they've got no way of noticing, like, there's a lot going on. They probably don't notice that they have 2 identical pieces. A lot of them look very similar anyway. I obviously didn't notice until right at the very end, and that's only because it was the crucial piece. I think what had most likely happened is that in the initial pouring, it just fell straight onto the ground and no one noticed it until like mid-game when a load more blew onto the floor. So I think just, extremely unfortunate that it happened to be a piece that you needed, as opposed to like it was always in the other team's bag or something. Like, I think that's kind of what I've come to think, based upon my extensive viewing of the footage. But luckily no one complained about it or anything, so everyone got over it very quickly and
moved straight on to the strategy.
Moved on to the important thing. Let's quickly delve into Merak, just while we have them walking up the stairs here. First of all, Strat saying that he thinks that your team is poorly set up, I thought was very funny, and it gave me a lot of laughs when I'm watching it back.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Horrible to hear about your own team, but I mean, at that point, I'd be saying the same about the other team, so it could happen to them.
Strath also putting out into the ether the prospect of a Strath Oscar Noel Lion. If I say those words to you now, would that strike terror into the heart of any Ruba? Those 3 big names teaming up.
Absolutely. That's a threat right there. Yeah, I mean, you already know what Noel can do, what Oscar can do after their achievements in the previous game. So add that with the man pulling all the strings on the blue tribe. That's scary stuff.
True. Sock also wanting to align with Oscar and Strath. Oscar really seems to be the man in demand there, which is the opposite of what I thought in my preseason predictions. I thought Oscar would be in so much trouble.
But I think Oscar just proved himself that he was just a very loyal man. That I think everyone does want him on their side because he is just such a loyal man. The word goat almost came out of my mouth there. But
are you going to claim credit for this then, Lenny? Is it seeing how you were just able to bring Oscar deep into the game and he'd always be a loyal vote for you? Yeah. Is everyone just thinking, I can be this year's Lenny?
I put his fucking reputation up there. He's a lucky man. Lucky man. I did that for him.
I mean, I really don't see why. Like, Will comes out and it's just like later on in this episode, he's just like, Lenny's the one to flip. Like, you went out in season 1 because you were loyal to your group, and you just got sniped out by one idol.
It's all reputation. I just have, admittedly, my own fault from the fact I'm just a bit of a prick when it comes to things like this. That people just assume that I am going to be, which is fair enough. Understandable.
Right, well, I mean, we'll keep watching throughout the season.
I think Sock does raise a really good point in this episode that the blue team, they're very happy but are they sitting too comfortably where they're not getting into alliances, they're not, creating the bonds within their tribe, whereas the red team, we're in the wars, but if we come out the other side better bonded, are we going to be more suited to the merge portion of the game?
That's true. Well, I mean, first of all, some of you have to make it to the merge portion of the game, Lenny. So you better start fucking winning. I'm going to get more and more nervous as the host of this game. The more you guys lose, the more twitchy I'm going to get. So you gather everyone in together, and you're basically, well, this is just the start of your complaining tour of the strategy portion of the game. So it appears so far, the whole strategy behind Ruben's votes have been like, all right, who performed badly in that challenge, who performed badly in this challenge, and this is target for this reason. But you then bring everyone together and say, okay, we can't blame anyone for that. Do you think, was this a good move or a bad move for you?
I think this is a good move because I don't think you should be voting people off based on challenge performance anyway. You should be doing it on who you want in, who you want out. So, yeah.
But doesn't that put a target on the back of a player like you, who people can just be like, oh, like,
well, that's
a
really good point. That is a really good point. Maybe, yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I think I was more just like wanting to keep the team morale up a little bit. Which maybe I completely squandered afterwards by non-stop moaning for the next 15, 20 minutes.
All right. Well, speaking of moaning, I'll come straight to Will. So, is this a good or a bad move? Okay, and I'm going to try and describe it as neutrally as possible. So, when a whole tribe think they've been very hard done by and are really criticizing the way that a game was handled by production, and then everyone's just really having a big group complaint, and then Will's just like, well, I mean, maybe we could have seen that we didn't have that piece.
I think it's the wrong time to try and play devil's advocate, to be honest with you. I don't know what he was thinking. He is lucky he's not been voted off straight away for that.
I was filming it at the time and I was like, well, it's very noble that you're stepping into White Nightmare here, but it really is not going to help your game.
Absolutely not. I can't believe he did that.
Do you think it's because Will had an immunity idol? Do you reckon that is... And obviously, he never expressed this in his confessional, although he did kind of later on say that he was going to play it anyway. Was he kind of thinking, let me get all the votes on me?
I mean, that would be genius. That would be genius. I'm sure Will is capable of that kind of genius, but I don't think that's what he's doing. I think he was just genuinely stating his opinion.
So, yeah, okay. Will, that was a terrible move.
Okay?
I personally appreciate you vouching for me, but I didn't need it at the time.
Not good gameplay, Will. Not good gameplay.
Terrible idea. Oh god. So I've got a lot of interesting things to say about Will in this strategy session, but first of all, apparently you really wanted Archie out of the game.
Yeah, fuck you, Archie. That's all I have to say. He's gone. I'm glad he's gone. I hope he doesn't come back.
So this is now we're getting into a very interesting round of 7 here. So obviously we've got that tight threesome supposedly that was made in episode 1 of yourself, Big Dog, and Isaac. Okay, we've then got Lucy and Divya, who are also tightly aligned. You got Slaw kind of in the middle, and you got Will Jeffrey just kind of messing about in there. He's kind of making a lot of stuff happen. He's spinning a lot of stuff. I think there's some interesting stuff to talk about here. Okay, first of all, we come to Lucy. Okay, she's with Slaw. She's trying to target the Big Dog, Isaac, Will trio. Smart gameplay from Lucy. What do you think?
I think it's smart gameplay. I think she does have the wrong trio. Which watching back is great for me that this is being spread around that it's those three, and I'm not really mentioned in it. It's great for me, but yeah, I think it is the right thing to try and do, and you have to try and get Divya and Slaw together on the same page, and then just try and get one of the rest of the 4 of us. I think so. It's definitely the right thing. I mean, basically the only thing she can do, really, or try and get in with the other 3 and put the vote on someone else.
Yeah, I think definitely good, solid gameplay from Lucy. I think one could say, Lenny, that despite your complaining throughout most of the strategy session, arguably, potentially the MVP of the strategy portion here. First of all, your name not coming up at all with Lucy and Divya. They're debating, they're trying to take someone out, they're trying to take out one of the big players. Will throws out your name at the start to Isaac, but how come the girls don't really want to target you? Have you spoken to them much in the previous rounds? Do you think you have something locked down there? Like, how did you avoid getting targeted?
I don't really know. I think I was trying to be quiet unless I think Will would come out straight out of the gate with that ride with Lucy, and I think Big Dog is clearly the biggest threat because everyone loves the man. So I think that's maybe worth getting brought up. But I don't know why I wasn't included in sort of being in that alliance. But yeah, maybe I'm just really good at the game, better than even I thought I am at the game.
Yeah, there we go.
But yeah, looks like I was in a great position.
Yes, all right. So let's talk about that now. So it seems like based on the conversations that we've seen early on, it seems like Slaw, Lucy, and Divya are now together, and then you've obviously got your three. So it appears that Will is now the one in the middle. So I think we've got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about with Will. I know, this vote ends up not happening, whatever, but I think I've got a fairly clear idea of what would have happened here based on what ends up transpiring throughout the strategy session and based on people's confessionals. I think I know exactly what would have happened at this tribal council. Okay. And I want to talk about whether we think Will would have made the correct call or not, and which group it would have been smartest for Will to go with. Because I think he's kind of ended up in the middle of these two groups of three.
Yeah.
From my perspective, Will holds pretty much all of the power here. It's just that he doesn't necessarily realize it because it's ambiguous to him what the exact alliance structures are. From the start, he wants to take out you or Big Dog, okay? And he speaks to Isaac, and Isaac does absolutely nothing to dissuade him from that. Okay.
Cheers, Isaac.
Do you think Isaac should have done any more?
Oh yeah, probably, yeah. I'd put in a shift for Big Dog later on when Will brings him up to me to put it on to Lucy, but no, when it's Isaac couldn't give a shit if one of his allies goes, clearly.
So Isaac not coming out of the gate hot with his strategy so far. Okay, so Will then comes over to you.
We obviously don't think it's particularly fair this round.
No.
But in that respect, we didn't think we should go for one of the big players, the ones that's going to go far. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about Chris.
Really?
Yep. Really just kick Chris out. Well, I'm happy to change that a bit. Chris or Isaac.
Lucy's throwing your name up there.
I see.
Yeah. Just now, me and Chris. So might work considering that.
Yeah, I think
kind of fucking Big Dog.
realistically, it's one of the big names that's going to go out this round.
Yeah, I think so.
I could just
look for big names, me.
Yeah,
we can just stick together.
Yeah, if we form out that little alliance, because we just can't be taken down.
If we're just going to keep losing, we might as well try and
keep them
stick to just get into tomorrow.
Do you think what? Do you?
No.
Lucy? Okay.
I mean, she's throwing now.
Okay.
I don't know what everyone else is throwing. But
I'll have a voice.
Do you know, he's come over. He's happy to, even though he's just discussed it with Isaac, he's happy to throw Isaac's name out as well. I'm absolutely loving Will. So he comes over to you and he basically guarantees to you. At one point, he's just like, I think definitely it's one of the big boys going out this round. What's racing through your mind? Because you managed to fully talk him out of this in seconds. So how do you manage to do this?
Well, I think it's just always a great strategy to just tell someone that someone else wants them out. And then that sort of like fighting instinct will come out where then you'll just go, well, no, they're not getting me out, I'm getting them out. But yeah, my instant thought is, no, we're not doing that. They're my two closest allies. So yeah, I think and because they'd already had that rivalry, I think just saying that Lucy wanted him out, it's just a great way to go about it.
I think, yeah, there's two particular conversations that occur during this strategy section that I think are two great examples of gameplay here. So first of all, Will comes to you, he's just like, he wants to target one of your allies, essentially. You're able to immediately deflect where he's coming from and transfer that anger onto someone else who is also a target of yours. You then are you aware that like Will's sort of looking for like a solid allies at this point? Are you just like, if I give Will the gift of this alliance, or if I like use the fact that he wants to be one of these big players, if I'm just like, yeah, we're the big four, you sort of give him what he wants, and then you can bring him in.
Yeah. No, essentially that. It's great.
Mm.
And then once you control the numbers and everyone feels comfortable, then if you get through this one, then suddenly it's looking even harder to get rid of us because it would just be if we were to lose again, it would be a 4v2 and you'd need to flip two out of the four of us to get someone out.
Mm. Okay, so at this point, Will then fully gives up all of his power to you when he's just like, okay, yeah, all right, basically I'm in. And then he's just like, Divya, and you're like, no. And he's like, oh, Lucy, you're like, yeah, and he's like, yeah, all right. What what was the reason that you wanted to keep Divya over Lucy there? It seems like Will would have taken either.
I think at the time I was thinking, oh, it's more likely I'd be able to ally with Divya at some point in the game, and I was probably a bit closer to Divya, so I'd rather keep her in just on the off chance. Because I felt like, yeah, I'd want to work with Divya, like potentially, but I think, yeah, Lucy seemed a bit, I don't know, less trustworthy to me at the time.
All right, I've got another question for you. How or is it even possible to control a player as chaotic as Will? I think so far, even in this strategy session, we've seen him for like 2 minutes. I think he's thrown out every single player's name other than Slaw, who was the one player he said at the start of the game that he wanted to get out. He's thrown out 6 names already, and we've had like a minute and a half. How are you able to sort of corral him into joining your group?
I think you've just got to, I don't think it's fully possible to have him, like, you'd never be confident, but I think you've just got to sort of gently talk about the other possibilities and make sure you talk to him near the end of the round.
Right, okay. So now we see a few of your whining confessionals.
Yeah, I think that one. Like, it's not really our fault if the puzzle piece just isn't on our side. We don't have one of the correct pieces to the puzzle. You can't really win or lose there. So just shit, to be honest. Bad luck. Put the blame at Mike. To be honest, should be better design than that. Put the table inside where it can't blow away. Very light piece of paper. Like, I feel like that's fairly obvious stuff. That it might be windy. Apart from that, like, I think this round, I think I might be gone, to be honest. I think my name's being thrown out, and might be my time to go, Faris, which is alright. I'm happy to have lasted this long. And I'm going to be voting for Lucy. I'm hoping Isaac will and Big Dog will vote the same way, but can't guarantee that really. Is what it is. But yeah, terrible puzzle design, Mike. You shit, good job.
And the reason I didn't include it is because basically you're saying like, do you know what? No, I'm really happy to have made it through 2 tribal councils. Like, I'll be happy to, if I get voted out here, I'm still happy, blah, blah, blah. But I genuinely think it's coming for me. So you were basically extremely paranoid this round. You were basically certain that you were going to get voted out. The reason I didn't include it is, first of all, it was funny to just have you complaining. And second of all, if people say in their confessional, I'm happy to go home here, I'm not going to include it because I don't want people to be like, I'm not really trying, because that's sort of how it makes it seem.
I think I was just worried because I'm such a big name. Everyone wants me. A lot of people came up and said to me that I was the MVP of the first season. I thought I'd put a target on my back.
Yeah, who'd come up to you and said that?
Oh, just a lot of people.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I have to name a few: Best Jeffrey, Noel Clark, Carolina,
Yeah.
Oscar, Max Beline, all said that I was the deserved champion of the game. I think I might have been. I don't know if I was exaggerating, but I think I was genuinely happy that I'd made it through a few rounds. But watching it back, they didn't really have anything to be worried about.
Yeah, there was also a conversation later that happened between you, Will, and Isaac, which I had to edit out because the plane was going right overhead and it was so loud you couldn't make out anything. But you were under the impression that other group of Slaw, Isaac, and Divya were going to take a shot. Slaw, Divya, and Lucy, sorry, were going to take a shot at you, and you were basically saying, "Oh, if one of them has an idol, then I'll just go home and whatever." I think that was what you
Okay.
were concerned about.
Yeah.
Okay, so one other thing that I am very keen to get into, Lucy goes and has a chat with Will and Isaac. Now, at this point, this is just after the Will Isaac Big Dog chat, where they're just like, okay, Will's in the alliance now, or Will's kind of tertiary part of this alliance, but he's here for now. There's four of us. We're all going to take out Lucy. Big Dog then leaves. Lucy then joins. I think this is a great opportunity to spot in this game when people are lying to you.
One of you heard.
Yeah.
Said my name. Can't know if she goes.
You heard anyone else's name?
Lenny's name.
Archie, do you mind collecting all this shit?
Yeah,
Lenny's name.
it's just everyone seems to be throwing up really.
Anyone's name that's camping there before.
So, while you guys were out here, did you feel there was anyone that was after being told by me
So
or
I thought-
what to look for wasn't struggling to
I thought
like,
Chris had pretty rough time.
you think?
He had the fewest pieces and he was.
Yeah, quite.
You could, yeah.
Yeah, quite.
It's just had to pick up the field. You should have really noticed that was one there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really tough.
But that is a tough thing to notice.
Yeah, it is quite.
Yeah, Chris, I think we have to go to Chris on this one. Of course, it just gets rid of one of the big players.
So Lucy comes over. We're about halfway through the strategy section at this point. She comes over. She's just like, "What are you guys thinking?" Isaac immediately asks her what she's thinking, and deflects any kind of previous discussions that may have been had. Like, she's just seen them talking to Big Dog, so she knows that they've at least had a conversation and probably decided on a name. They then give her nothing from that, ask her what she thinks. Isaac doesn't mention what they discussed with Big Dog. They also seem to accept the name that she gives them without any kind of question. Lucy says Big Dog. Will also suggests Big Dog as if he's just come up with it. Given that it's deep enough into the strategy section at this point, it seems unlikely that a completely new idea is just going to come up there.
Yeah.
He's also had not much experience of working with the two of them. There's also no eye contact at all, but like there's cameras around, like people aren't doing the eye contact thing. That's not as obvious a tell. And also at the end of the conversation, she gets no confirmation at all from Isaac that he's going to vote for Big Dog. And there is also, in addition, one other thing that I would point out is that they had no like long-term planning, no talk of an alliance, no talk of, oh, and then in the next vote, maybe we can go in this direction. I think there were a lot of, like, Lucy was in a tough spot anyway. Okay, there are a lot of people going for her all game. She had no reads on anyone yet because every round she'd been a target.
Yeah.
But I think for future players, those are things to look out for if you are concerned that people might be targeting you. And if you are playing in the future, those are things to not do.
Yeah, I think it's good to have a lie ready to go as well, where I think, not to toot my own horn, do it with TG Robbo in the first season, where he comes over and you have just a plan that's not real that you're ready to discuss with him, and that makes him that makes the person more confident that it's not them, because they're hearing a plan about someone else from you and it seems real.
I think exactly like Will did a good job of this in round one as well. Like he's going for Lucy. He spends a while trying to convince Divya and I think Faris to go for Lucy. Lucy walks straight over and Will's immediately, and this is what he's so good at, throwing out just random names. He's just like, yeah, we were all thinking Archie. Like that is the way to do it. But Will and Isaac, I don't think did a particularly good job here. But I think Lucy in a tough position there. However, she does then think that they are voting for Big Dog, so I guess they get away with it. A couple of things that I've pointed out. Big Dog trash talking Will standing in the alliance. Seconds before Will comes over to confirm that everything's okay.
Oh, yeah, no, fantastic, really good. Couldn't have timed that better.
Also, another thing to watch out for: if you're ever playing a game with Big Dog and he's just smiling, that man has such a bad poker face. If he's just cracking up, trying not to laugh, then that's a sign that he's probably
Keep
not
an
on
eye
your side. Okay, Big Dog then tells Divya that the four of you are comfortable together. Is this a smart move for Big Dog if the end goal is maintaining an alliance with Divya? Is this a smart idea?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine for Big Dog. It's probably not great for overall plan of voting off Lucy. Like it's something that could, if Lucy had an idol, could definitely just blow up, and then it'd be one of the four of us gets voted off. I think there's definitely something to having your numbers. You don't need to convince all 6 people to vote out the 7th person. You just need 4, and you run a risk when you try and convince someone else that they'll go and tell Lucy, and if Lucy had an idol, they could play it or something like that. But I think for Big Dog wanting to be in this tight alliance with Divya, it might be good for the both of them just to be on both sides and look out for each other and tell them exactly what's happening. That builds a lot of trust.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely the advantage there. So if Lucy is tighter with Divya than Big Dog is, if Big Dog eliminates Lucy, then like who else is Divya going to go to but Big Dog?
Yeah.
So surely that's going to work. But there's the risk of severing that relationship in the process. Like maybe if he doesn't tell Divya that Lucy's going, then maybe that kind of ruins things.
Yeah.
Okay, let's whip through to the end of this strategy just so we can talk about Slaw a little bit. Right at the end, Slaw concocts a plan with Lucy and Divya, and they're just like, okay, we got 3 of us. All we need is 1 more, and we can take out one. We can take out one of the big guys. Okay, Slaw comes over to you, and he's feeling you out. He's trying to see exactly where your head's at with all of this. Is there anything he could have pitched to you that would have convinced you to flip on one of the guys?
Maybe. I feel like the way I was talking to him, I was definitely flirting with the idea of it. And I think
You definitely put it out there.
Yeah, like I think I was, subtly hinting that it's something I could do. I think if, he put out, I assume he knew he was going home at that point, but I think if he had put out an actual plan, I could have been convinced of it 100%.
I mean, he threw Big Dog and Will's names out there. I think if he'd have been a bit more forthcoming, just been like, I've definitely got Lucy, I've definitely got Divya.
Yeah.
We just need you and we can take out anyone you want. Is there anyone that you would have taken a shot at there?
I mean, if you're going to take a shot, you have to go for the big one, the big prize. You've got to take out Big Dog, don't you?
Is that something you could have been tempted to do?
Given the opportunity, I think.
Really, yeah. I feel like if I'm in that situation, I want to take a shot at an Isaac.
Yeah, I mean, probably any of the 3 of them, I think, yeah. But it would have been nice for me because then I would have felt like I could have had all the power, basically, which would have been lovely.
Okay, just when we get to Tribal Council, Slaw's confessionals, I just wrote that down. Did you enjoy them?
Yeah, big time. Very good. I think Slaw was just great.
I don't like it. I don't like how it works. I don't like them celebrating every single time, them coming down doing a fucking conga. Fucking rent boys they are.
When I thought about what would happen in Survivor Southampton Season 2, Sam Law calling Holly Sheridan a rent boy is not one of the things.
You can't.
Did not have that on the bingo card. Great stuff from Slaw. Okay, so I feel like we can talk about stuff that doesn't come up in the show. And I feel like that's absolutely fine here. So before the game, the day before the game, I was working in the lab. Slaw drops me a message saying, I don't think I can make it tomorrow, actually. Then that was quite irritating for me because obviously I had the whole thing figured out. I then had to, amongst many other things, I had to switch the tribe Slaw was on because at that point I thought maybe Max had to leave as well, but then it turned out he didn't, so that was all fine. But Slaw would have initially been on the other tribe and Ben would have been on your tribe instead, but I had to switch them over because Slaw basically was just like, well, I can't go there. I managed to convince him. I'm just like, well, just come for a little while. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was essentially the arrangement that we had. So I was just like, okay, so whatever happens, Slaw is going to end up leaving in the first couple of rounds. Okay. Yeah. So that was all I knew in advance. I didn't know what would happen when he would show up. So essentially from the first Tribal Council, when you guys lost the first one, I was just like, okay, this is fine. Slaw will just leave straight away and then we'll get on with the game. Then the twist happens and I'm like, okay, this is fine. Like there's no way Lucy's saving Slaw. Like absolutely no way. She picks him last. I was like, how are we going to get this guy out of the game? Like I thought this whole thing was he was going to come like play around and then leave. But no, Lucy then saves him. Then round 2, he was in no trouble at all. So then I wasn't sure what he was going to do, but then he just stayed in the game. At this point, we're getting into round 3, and I'm just like, there's no guarantee that you guys are going to keep losing, so he keeps getting opportunities to leave. Like, if he's going to leave, I have to have him go in a cycle where you guys lose the challenge, because otherwise that's just really unfair. So then that was the reason why I wasn't too upset when you guys lost, because I was just like, this is the perfect time for Slaw to leave. And then you guys didn't want to vote him out. No one said his name. He was the only person whose name was not said at all the whole strategy session. And Slaw's like, he's given me the eyes. I think I'd said to him, this is probably a good time to if you're going to go, this is the time to go. And then I get to the end of it, and he's just like, do you think I'm going to get voted out? Am I going to have to leave? And I was like, there's no one going to vote for you. Like, you're just going to have to leave at Tribal. So that's why none of the discussion at Tribal was really about strategy. Like, Slaw and I, like, we knew he was going to go. But yeah, like he had to leave. But yeah, I was definitely trying to make the most of him through the game. I was just like, basically, just turn up, chat a load of shit, just do all your normal stuff, have a load of fun with it, and then
get out. Yeah, a good cameo.
Yeah,
I'd say very good cameo.
Yeah, I think
I'm sad
I really
he didn't
enjoyed
stay in the
Slaw.
game. I was
Yeah,
I was really liking it. I mean, I know he wanted me, but I was loving him. I was definitely. I think I could have been convinced to work with that man.
I also really enjoy how I think the only chat that has ever been had between Slaw and Isaac is on camera, and I don't think they've spoken before or since the game.
No,
It's
that's
on
it.
camera. It's in round 2, and it's just Slaw telling Isaac to be on his guard. That's the only time they've ever spoken. I'm fairly sure. And
love to see
guys,
it.
correct me if you're wrong. Correct me if you're wrong if you go to the pub and stuff together. But I'm fairly sure that's the only time I've ever seen you interact. So that is very funny. For all of you that made it to the end, well done. I'll finally tell you what I think would have happened in this round. I believe that it's going to be a 4-2-1 vote. I think the big four stick together, and I think Lucy gets voted out here. I believe that there are 2 votes going towards I believe it would have been Will, based off the final discussion. And I believe Slaw, once again, takes his opportunity to vote for you, Lenny. So I think even if any of you had flipped, it would not have worked, because I think Slaw votes for Lenny regardless.
Bastard.
But Lucy has been saved this round, so we'll see what she can do to make the most of that.
Saved for the second time out of 3 rounds. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, so we get more of Lucy, so that's all great stuff. Slaw's exit confessional I thought was great. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah, the kicking of the chair was a good touch.
Yeah. Next time, Lenny, you got any teasers for us?
Ooh,
We saw a brief clip. You appeared to be engaging in a tug of war kind of thing with Oscar.
yeah, it was a good challenge. Good challenge. You know, sometimes a strategic brain like mine could potentially take down the huge, muscly specimen that is Oscar. And I think that's one thing you should watch out for.
Lenny, any family members watch the show?
Oh yeah, my sister loves it.
Oh,
loves
yeah.
it. Watch this
Well, I'll tell you
episode
what,
before me.
I bet she loves Sock.
She does love Sock. That's her number 1 favorite. And then she likes, I think, maybe just Lucy and Divya on the Reds. Yeah, was excited to find out that Lucy and Sock were a couple. That's the news I broke to her recently. But yeah, she loves it. She wants to be on season 3. So get her in.
I feel like we're getting dangerously close to actually having to do this now. I need location. Anyone watching, if you want it to happen, get me a location, okay? And then maybe.
She also said she can be the medical team. If you don't want us to participate, she could be she can be helping medically evacuating people from the game.
Okay. Well, if only someone's here to medically evacuate Slaw, just like, nah, sorry, mate, he's not allowed.
He's done. Cut his
Also,
finger.
shout out to my mum. My mum also watched, and she's written for Holly and also for Zhao. So, good luck, guys. Yeah, thanks for joining us on the If You Know, You Know podcast. No, I didn't get to what my superfan had to say. Fuck.
We'll get him next time.
All right, so just me. We finally got rid of Lenny. So now welcome to the little late night edition of the If You Know, You Know podcast. So, unfortunately, Lenny decided that he had to go and watch some inconsequential football match between 2 chaff teams instead of indulging in this week's fan corner. But don't worry, I've held on to it for you, so I shall bring it to you right now. So let's see what our fans have to say for episode 3. Episode 3, iconic entry here. So lame it circles back to funny. Zhao just out in the world freewheeling, similar experience to FaceTiming your annoying auntie when she's just so busy with errands today. Me and Shapes go way back. They're suggesting this should be the episode title as a throwback to Archie. Unfortunately, I thought too many Shape themed references was we can't have two in the first 3 episodes. Billy is the youngest. Man looks like he got rinsed in a rough divorce and started a Mumford and Sons cover band. Part-time bench warmer, best editorial joke by me so far, so thank you, me. Zhao once again just vibing in the background. Yeah, I'm not sure if me and Lenny discussed this. Zhao was looking for a hidden immunity idol throughout a lot of that challenge. Whatever drugs Max is on, I want in. That's what's been said. The picture showing Slaw and Lenny fucking one up right as Liam is bigging him up is hilarious. The gesturing would be 10 times more effective if you're both facing in the same direction, Slaw. So there you go, Slaw for season 3, mate. You got to think about that. Zhao dropping in for 30 seconds, killing it, and then dipping. What a legend. I love Billy's shirt, by the way. If he remembers where it's from, let me know. There you go, Billy. You gotta hit me up, and then I'll pass it on. I'll distribute this information. Some stuff about Ruber and Merak copying each other. Billy falling on the stairs. Ha 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 ha. Max strikes me as a crypto truther. Actually, I don't know. Hit us up, Max. Oh, they were really upset that Ruber lost again, so you guys really bottled it. You really fucked us there, Mike. Yeah, you did. All right, well, sorry, everyone. Nice shot of everyone coming up the stairs. There you go. Thanks to either Faris or Archie, whichever one of you that was. Lenny taking this pretty hard. Yep. I take it back. Slaw is taking it worse. Yeah, really kicking off in the confessionals. Will is making the right call here, but Isaac won't go for it, obviously. Yes, got a fair few fan comments about whether Will made the right decision or not. But yeah, I mean, I guess since that the tension in the tribe wasn't fully relieved by Saw just getting up and leaving, we'll have to see if it's able to get resolved when they next go to tribal council. Slaw and Lucy need to commit to splitting up the alliance in a big way now and pray, but it's looking unlikely, yeah. Hopefully Lenny has cooled his rage from the rewatch before the chat show. Lol. Yeah. I mean, it's a shame we had to re-record the first half because he came in hot on the first recording. A lot of talk about the plane going on overhead. Yeah, that was get ready for lots more of those. Divya, you're not going to get anywhere convincing the boys to vote out Will, I fear. Yeah, well, Will calling Lenny as the first to dip from the alliance, absolute classic. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. We'll have to see if that tribe makes it far enough to get to a point where Lenny has anyone to betray them for. I feel if you're going up against an alliance that strong with that much power, you need to be much more consistent, but also they should have clocked it and fought harder much sooner than this. The horse has left the stable already. Yeah, some interesting comments. Like, is that group of 4 now just going to be dominating on Ruber? Like, can Lucy and Divya do anything about it? You know, can they convince Lenny to flip? Like, I think there's definitely a lot of interesting things that could be going on in the Ruber camp if they were to lose again. Everyone knows Big Dog. Yeah, that's fair. Even my dad asked for an update on Big Dog last week and haven't even ever met the guy. Everyone knows me, everyone loves him. What can I say? Lemon stealing whores level of acting from Slaw there. Oh my days. Yeah, that's a wonderful reference there. I'm not sure if Lenny would have understood where that comment was coming from, but I know some of you out there will know what they were talking about there. And apparently I had a lame AF dad joke in the preview segment, so you know, and ending on a slightly disrespectful note for me, but yeah, that is so that's it for Fan Corner today. A brief final update from me. So my laptop just completely crashed last week, couldn't turn it on anymore, so that's just completely dead. So I'm now finally able to begin editing episode 4. So maybe a day or 2 late, but we'll see how it goes. I'll put in a bit of a shift for you guys tonight, and we'll see what we can come up with. But yeah, thanks. I'm excited for episode 4. Good luck to the Ruber tribe.